How to paint your gas tank with fine line tape, coming up next. What's up everybody, this is Monty with House of David MC, and today is part 14 of our GN 250 build, where we're talking about how to paint your gas tank. So today we're doing something really dope. We're going really old school, vintagey, 70s look with our gas tank. We're gonna be using fine line tape to get some really tight, clean lines and to create a multicolored layout on our tank that's gonna look sick. In order to do this right, you're really gonna need to get some fine line tape that's specific for this type of application. We're gonna use an 1/8 1/4 inch fine line tape to make this thing come together. So with all that being said, let's jump into the video. Woo! Okay, so I've totally bondoed the one little dent that we had in our tank, and it's super smooth. I did about 3 coats and sanded down each one, starting with an 80 grit to really rough it out, then a 120, then a 220, and finally went over the whole tank with 1000 grit sandpaper. So it's ready to be primed now, so I'm gonna get on that. Since it's freezing cold in Dallas right now in the 30s, I've brought the tank up into my back house and had the heater on all night long. So it's primed, it's dry, it's ready for our first base coat. So let's go do it. I've started by creating a pattern in Illustrator, which I've printed out to size, and I'm going to use this as the basic guide for our initial outline. Okay, with both patterns in place, what I'm going to do is actually the pattern's not going to stop here. What's going to happen is it's going to go over the top of the tank and connect in the middle. So we're just going to have to do a slight little adjustment, which you'll barely even notice going this way. So let's start to laying down some tape. So these are the 2 products that we're using. I'm using an FBS fine line tape that you can get from gas huffers. These are 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch fine line tape. It allows us to create these cool patterns, thicker, thinner lines just by laying down tape, painting, pulling it up, and repeating the process. As you make these corners, guys, you really got to pull this tape tight so you don't get any kinks, so you don't get any bleed. this tape overlaps the underlying tape, you really want to get it good and creased down, like use my fingernail. Otherwise, there's possibility for bleed. Where the tank went over the fuel hole, I snipped the tape and relaid it so it sat more in the creases right here. So the next thing we're gonna do is cover every place that we don't want painted with brown paper. Okay, so before we get to painting, I want to kind of explain what we're doing with our multicolor process here. So what we've just done is outlined the entire pattern. This pattern has 3 colors. It's got this outside color, which is going to be white. It's got this inside color, which is going to be black. And it's got the center color, which is going to be gold. So what we've done is outlined the entire pattern. So we're going to go and hit it all with white. Then we're going to go back in with our same 1/4 inch tape, and then we're going to line right next to the tape we just laid down, and then we'll go in and color black. Then we'll go back with the 1/8 inch right inside that previous laid tape, and then we'll color it gold, and then we'll leave our black. So it's just a multi-layer process. You'll see it as we go along. Our can is all papered, ready to be painted. Let's go for it. Change of scenery. It's freezing in Dallas. It's actually snowing outside right now. So I've come upstairs in my back house to get a little break from the cold temperature. Our white layer of paint is laid down. It's dry. So next thing we're going to do is go back with our same 1/4 inch fine line tape. And now if you look at the pattern, what we're going to do now, essentially lay down tape to go over this white outside border. Let our black paint cure for 24 hours, and now we're going to go back and finally do tape for our gold. This time we're going to use 2 different pieces of tape. We're going to use our skinny 1/8 inch tape for this outside border like this, and then we get to here, we're going to use a 1/4 to build up this thick area out here. So now that we've freehanded this bend, we've got a negative space in here we need to go back and fill up, because we ultimately want all the way to this black line to be completely black. So we want to cover in this area so it didn't get any gold. So we've let this gold layer dry for about an hour or 2, so it's safe now. We can start to begin to pull off the tape and see what we got. Okay guys, now that we've got the tank painted, I'm going to sand the whole tank, starting with an 1000 grit wet sanding sponge, and then moving on to a 2000 grit sanding sponge. And that'll give us a really smooth foundation before we go on to clearing. So here's the money shot, guys, with the emblem, cap on it, fuel cock in place, stripe going over top of the tank, cool little signature in back, HDMC, square logo, legit. So make sure you stick around for next week. Next week's video is all coming together. The tank's gonna go on the bike. Who knows, we may even start this sucker up. Crank this sucker up. Start this sucker up. Crank this sucker up. But just come back next week. It's all gonna come together. It's gonna look amazing. It's gonna be dope. So if you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel down below. Like the videos, make comments, share them with your friends. As always, this has been Monty with House of David, taking one motor, one revelation at a time.